Is your Linux desktop too mainstream? Always stuck with the same old features and broken extensions? Wayfire is here to shake things up. The lightweight Wayland compositor that makes your desktop a dynamic mix of simplicity and fun. With features you won't find anywhere else, like free window rotation directly on the desktop, seamless window zooming, and stunning effects. But that's just the beginning. Stick around as we dive into Wayfire's quirks, uncover hidden gems, and explore why it could be the perfect fit for your Linux desktop. Here I am at the Wayfire GitHub page, and as said, Wayfire is a Wayland compositor and it is based on WL roots. It is very simple and lightweight, and because of that, it has some features that other bigger desktop environments don't have out of the box or don't have at all. Some features are just for fun, and others are actually really useful. Now, it's important to say that Wayfire is at the time of recording not even at the version 1, but 0.9. This tells me that it's still not finished and probably still in development, but nevertheless, I think it is worth a try. If you're searching for the official Getting Started guide, you can find it here. Here you can find all the basic stuff like keyboard bindings, Windows opening and closing, window snapping, window resizing, workspace shifting, and everything in between. And you can configure most of the stuff, if not everything, using a single configuration file, wayfire.ini, which I absolutely love. In my opinion, this is the most transparent way how you can save configurations. You have everything inside a single file, it is simply structured, key value pairs, and you can edit the file using any text editor. You don't need special tools. It can also be a JSON file, I have no problems with it. And even an XML file, although I would not go there. But what I definitely dislike is when you have some kind of a database structure to save your configurations, like gsettings does, or even worse, when you have registry to save your configurations, like Windows does. Windows registry is a nightmare. No one knows what's inside there, and in my opinion, it should have been extinct a long time ago together with Windows XP. But here we are, still using it. But thankfully not on Wayfire. So, good job Wayfire. That was the theory behind Wayfire. Now let's jump straight into the desktop and see how it looks like in action. The Linux distro that I'm using here is called CachyOS. I installed this one in a previous video, and Wayfire was one of the desktop environments it comes with. So if you want to try out Wayfire on CachyOS yourself, then you can check out the link to the video up there or down in the description. Now let's take a look at the Wayfire configuration manager. Here you can configure all the Wayfire specific settings. I will not go through all the settings, instead I will explain those that I find most interesting, and I will try to keep it short and compact. The first section is called General. Here you can define applications that should auto-start, which is just a list of commands, and you can add additional ones if you want. Then you can define custom commands, which should be triggered with a specific key binding. For instance, the launcher is triggered by Control Space. So this is a simple application launcher. Then we have the core settings. The most interesting part here are the horizontal and vertical workspaces. And here I have a 3x3 matrix. If I press Super, this is how it looks like. So those are all workspaces. And the last thing inside the section are also just general settings about the keyboard, mouse, touchpad, tablet, and cursor. In my opinion, nothing too special here. Then we have a bit more interesting options, like the color invert. This one is triggered by Super I. So this is how it looks like. And yes, it is weird. This one doesn't help at all. So if you want to color invert, you can do it. Then we have the zoom. Now this one is interesting. You can zoom in by pressing Super, and now with the mouse wheel, you can zoom in and zoom out. So if you're presenting something, then this may come very handy. Then you have the scale plugin. It's toggled by Super P and with the left top hot corner. Let's try it out. So this just gives you an overview of the windows that are currently open. So let's open a few more. So this way you can see all windows inside the workspace and you can select one. This one I actually find very useful. The next section is called Desktop, which is in my opinion a bit misleading because this one is more about workspaces. But then you also have window focus, screensaver and transparency in here. So the sections and settings feel a bit mixed up. You're not really sure why those belong in there. It is how it is. If you want to make single windows transparent, you can do this by pressing Super and Alt, and with the mouse wheel, you can make it almost fully transparent, and you can do this per window, which is kind of wild. Then, we already saw the expo. If you press Super, you get the workspace overview. Then you can enable the window focus. With this, you can change the window focus by simply hovering. I think this is what Hyperlens does by default. I'm not really a fan of that. Then, of course, you can switch workspaces if you press Ctrl and Super. And with the keys right, down, up, and left, you can change workspaces inside this matrix here. But the most exciting feature in here is the cube, which also moves workspaces by pressing Super and the mouse key left and right. And as you can see, it moves it like a rotating cube. And if you like effects, you can do Ctrl Alt. And now with the mouse, you can rotate the workspaces around, also zoom out and zoom in, which is kind of cool. But this way you can only switch the horizontal workspaces. It doesn't have to be a cube. It can also be a cylinder. Then you have something like this. Or it can be a star. Moving on. You can, of course, change the background image, configure the dock and the panel. Now, maybe this is just CachyOS related, but I found the options inside the dock and panel really buggy. Since Wayfire is at the time of recording still not at the version 1, I can only assume that those settings are still work in progress. So for this video, I will skip those. The next sections are the most interesting ones. Here you can, for instance, define the window opening and closing animations. Let's say I want to use zoom for opening and fire for closing. Now if I close a window, I get this cool effect. You can make all the windows transparent. And if you want, also turn off blur. Now you can see right through the windows. Then you have a fisheye effect. This one is toggled by Ctrl Super and left mouse button. This is what you get. Or you have a water effect, which is triggered by Ctrl Super and the mouse button. Then you get this. And of course, the wobbly windows. So now you have this kind of wobble. And now something really special. You have window rotation. So if, for instance, you press Ctrl Super and the right mouse button, you can rotate individual windows, which is kind of wild. And you can still interact with the window. I'm not sure if any other desktop environment does this. And it's not just rotating on a plane, you can also do 3D rotating by pressing Super Shift and right click. Now this is wild. And it's still responsive. You can still click on it and do stuff with it. This blows my mind, honestly. Of course, you can also reset the rotation by pressing Super R. So let's undo that. And moving on. The next section is window management. The most important thing here is switching windows with Alt Escape. Or switching windows with animation, Alt Tab. We can move windows using the Super key and left mouse button. Of course, you can still move windows with the title bar. And then you can resize windows using the Super and right mouse button. So right mouse button is resize, left mouse button and Super is move. If you want to tile windows, you have simple tile. Now you can toggle tiling by pressing Super T. And now if I open another window, it will be tiled. Let's do this also for the file browser and for the first terminal. Now if I close windows, the other ones get tiled. If you want, you can define the gap size, let's say 0. Or for instance, enable tiling only for specific windows. Default is all. Let's see if resize works. Super and right mouse button. Yes, no problems. So if you're a fan of auto tiling, Wayfire might be for you. I'm not really a fan of it. So let's do Super T. Then we have something really special, and that's full screen window. It can be activated by Super Alt F. And this is now zooming into full screen, which might also be very handy when you're presenting something. Let's do it here. As you can see, it preserves the aspect ratio. It's not just window maximize and full screen, it actually zooms in, which I find really cool. Similar, we have window zoom. This one works using Control Super, and then with the mouse wheel, you can zoom in, and you can do this per window. It's actually really cool. You can also combine it with rotation, Control Super, right mouse button, and now let's do the same Control Super and the mouse wheel. You don't see stuff like this every day. And it's still fully functional. How awesome is that? Let's zoom out. The final section is utility. Here we have a crosshair. If you struggle to find the mouse, with this you will never lose it again, I guarantee. Then we have an FPS counter. This one is interesting, although I'm not really sure what this one measures. I really doubt that we are now at 2 frames per second. And finally we have annotate. Using Alt Super and left mouse button, you can draw on the screen. This is again perfect if you're presenting something. This is now free draw, but you can also do rectangles. This is now drawing from center. Let's disable that. This is more natural. Or you can do circles. To clear everything, press Alt Super C. Wayfire is a fantastic example how a simple desktop environment can be powerful, and with all those zooming, annotating and rotating features, I can absolutely see myself using it in a sort of a presentation setup. As said, the Linux distro that I was using today is called CachyOS, and this one is advertised as an absolute performance beast. So if you want to try out Wayfire with CachyOS, I did an installation video, you can find the link up there, go and watch it. If you like this video, then give it a like and subscribe. And if you really like my videos, down there is a super thanks, so you can buy me a coffee for instance, so I can make more of those awesome videos. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.